Investment. George, great to see you.
Thanks, Bridie, for having me.
Now, just firstly, we have seen quite a reaction in markets this morning to this news that Larry Summers was pulling out of the race.
Yeah.
Do you think that markets are doing this because they think perhaps Janet Yellen is most likely to be the next Fed chair and most likely to be dovish?
Yeah, I think so. I think they had a view that that Summers was a bit more hawkish and would wind back quantitative easing faster than Yellen. Whether that view is right or wrong, I don't know, but that's the view in the market. And I think the market, Larry Summers has been the front runner for a long time. And the market reaction is just a reflection of that. They think that the new Fed chairman will be less dovish than Larry Summers.
In terms then of Janet Yellen, I mean, do you think she is most likely then?
I think she is the most likely at the moment. She was obviously, so Larry Summers was the favourite of Obama, but the Democratic favourite for the party was Yellen, and there would have had to be a lot of horse trading going on between the White House, the Obama administration, and the Democratic Party. And not only that, Larry Summers was also seen to be closer to the large end of town, like Citibanks and JP Morgan's, while Yellen is seen to be closer to the communal banking side of the US. And so there was all those ongoing fears about regulation and, you know, not enough has been done about the banking sector, the GFC, which was dividing the Democratic Party over Larry Summers. So his withdrawal is a way of, you know, saving face for Obama, because he was definitely Obama's front runner at the time. And obviously Yellen now steps up with Cohen probably behind Yellen as the one if she doesn't get the nomination.
How important is it, do you think, who the next Fed chair is?
In reality, then it's not really that important whether it was Summers, Cohen or Yellen. They all believe that the Federal Reserve should step in times of crisis. They all believe that public servants, you know, will manipulate or control the market if they feel that the interest rates are out of line with creating stimulus. So they all have that background. It wouldn't have been that much different. You know, they all come from that. They all come from the establishment. They're all part of the establishment. So in reality, it would have probably been very little difference whether it was Larry Summers or Yellen. Yellen, as I said, is seen to be closer to the communal banking, and she's also probably more of a consensus builder than Summers was, but that's probably the only difference.
In terms of, you know, the US dollar weakening, the US stock index futures rising, US 10-year treasuries rising there, do you think this is just a knee-jerk reaction or will it continue?
I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. Eventually it'll just be overshadowed by what's going to happen with tapering, and that, you know, so initially the markets are obviously very thin now, very, very thin, and once, you know, a couple of days' time it will all be forgotten and we'll just be focusing on tapering and what's going to happen there on Wednesday night for us.
So from here on in, as the market sort of digests this summer's news and we start to move towards that sort of Thursday morning, our time, result from the FOMC, what's likely to happen in markets? Is it going to be cautious? Is it going to be choppy? What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be very choppy. I think it's going to be very quiet, and everyone's going to be sitting and waiting on the sideline. I'm not 100% sure if it's fully banked in, because when they do the surveys in the market, there's still a large number of participants who don't believe tapering will happen in September, and it's more likely to happen in December. But we'll wait and see. There's going to be there should be a knee-jerk reaction to when it is mentioned. The other thing will be the size. I mean, if they come out with only a 5 billion or 10 billion tapering at the start, the markets might actually take that positive and rally, because the biggest fear is that they're going to start off with a 20 billion type tapering. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then I guess if it doesn't come out in September, you know, 100% of people still think it will happen in December, being the next probable, most likely FOMC meeting where they'll announce it. So we'll just have another 4 months of waiting for that to happen.
In terms of the Syria issue as well, the US and Russia reaching this diplomatic deal over the weekend with regards to the Syria crisis, then we've seen oil moving about on this. What's your sense of, you know, how this plays into market moves?
Yeah, I don't think oil actually has moved around that much, and we would have thought it would come off a lot more than it has. Like gold has come out quite a lot.
So even though those falls last week in both Brent, I mean, Brent was down nearly 4%.
Yeah, it's not large compared to what gold's doing, where it's moving 6% in a day on the back of these Syrian news. And one of the reasons why is that there is a supply deficit at the moment in the markets, and even though the Saudis are pumping at 32-year highs, there's still a 1 billion barrel supply deficit, and that's keeping the support of oil, and it's mainly due to issues in Libya and in Nigeria, which is creating a shortage of supply for the market. So oil really at the moment is a supply story. It's not really a geopolitical risk story. And so until the supply issues are sorted out, we're going to see high oil for a little bit longer.
What's your strategy then in light of all of what you've just said? That you're still long US equities?
So it'd still be long US equities. I mean, we're not going into the market this week or next week. We're going to wait and see what happens, because after this also we've got a lot of the continuing resolution and the debt ceiling to get through, which is also part of this Larry Summers resignation, because obviously there's got to be a lot of political horse trading going on to get that through for Obama
One
as
less
well.
battle.
Yeah, one less
Obama.
battle for him to fight. But yeah, we're still very positive on equities, and whether they be Australian equities, US equities, or European equities, and probably lightening up on bond markets.
Okay. There were some flows back into emerging market stock funds as well. Small, obviously,
Well, yeah,
but still.
Yeah,
what
I'm
do
still
you
not a
think?
big fan of
Okay.
emerging markets. It's still something we'd start to look at early next year or a bit later. But at the moment, it's really the story for us is about developing markets, and that's where all the value will be.
Okay. Great to get your views as always. George, thank you so much for that.
Thanks for having me.
George Lucas there from InStreet Investment. All right.